Hey, I wanted to share a little bit of a pattern and a moment I've been noticing with the leaders around me. I think it's a moment that every leader faces. It usually shows up pretty quietly. It's those conversations that need to happen, the ones you can feel in your chest, the ones you replay in your head over and over on the drive home. But instead of leaning into them, you delay the conversation because it's a difficult one. It's probably not because you don't care, it's probably because you do care. What I've noticed is most leaders don't avoid the hard conversations because they're weak. They avoid them because they're human. They don't want to hurt someone's feelings. They don't want to damage the relationship. They don't want to make things worse. But here's the paradox of leadership that I've noticed is that the conversations that you avoid in the name of care are often the ones that cause the most harm. Or as I like to say, conflict avoided is conflict multiplied. So what if those hard conversations didn't have to feel harsh? What if clarity didn't have to cost you connection? Today, I'm kind of wanting to share with you a simple leadership flow that I use that changes everything. So step one is that I always try and start with care. Before you talk about performance, before you talk about behavior, before you talk about what needs to change, you want to remind them and you want to dig deep and remind yourself why this conversation matters. And you want to encourage them beneath the surface. You don't say, boy, I really like your hat today. You want to get into the quality and the character of who they are. Sounds something like this. Hey, Aaron, I'm having this conversation because I actually care about you. You make a really big difference to this team, and your success actually really matters here. Matter of fact, I've noticed that when you show up on purpose, everyone follows your lead. You're kind of like a natural leader. I love that about you. See, that's not fluff. That's actually leadership. Because people don't usually hear feedback clearly until they feel safe enough to listen. And this helps people feel safe. Then and only then can you take step two, which is to actually name the concern. You don't name the concern with accusation, not with emotion, not with a list of everything they've ever done wrong, but you want to name the concern with clarity. Aaron, here's what I'm noticing. Hey, Aaron, I don't know if you've noticed this or not, but it seems like there's a pattern that's starting to shape up that I've been noticing. Do you notice that? Aaron, here's the impact that this is having on the team. What I want you to know here is that strong leaders don't attack people, but they do address patterns. Now, this is where the next step comes into play that most leaders skip. It's step three, which is that you've got to set the boundary. Not as a threat, not as an ultimatum, but as a line of respect. Aaron, this just can't continue. So this is the expectation that we have moving forward because this is what leadership here requires. Boundaries aren't about control. They're actually about alignment. And these conversations, you need to see them as alignment conversations. Because when boundaries are unclear, even good people get confused. And strong cultures can start to drift. So everyone really needs these moments sometimes. By the way, this is kind of a leadership fact, is that your culture is going to grow on purpose or it's going to drift on accident. Avoidance of these conversations creates drift. And embracing these moments creates opportunities for growth and connection. So let's jump back in. This is the final step. And this is what separates great leaders from reactive ones. And it's that you offer support. Not rescue, not excuses, but actual support. Hey, Aaron, I really want to help you succeed, and I'm willing to walk with you through this. What do you need from me to follow through? See, that's the kind of leadership that pulls people forward instead of pushing them out. Care, clarity, boundaries, support. This is how trust is built. This is how cultures stay healthy. This is how leaders stop carrying everything alone. And so the real question here is, what conversations are you avoiding right now? Not because you don't care, but because you care deeply. Maybe you didn't have a way or a formula for how to have these conversations. And I want to ask you, what might change if you finally had it the right way? I challenge you to go out today and have one of these conversations. Use this formula. Start with care. Name the concern, set the boundary, and offer support. And watch what happens. I've seen leaders all over the country use this formula and have it make a huge impact and a huge difference in their team.